Right, so thank you for joining us this morning. What I wanted to share with you was our latest topic here, which is scaling your business. So this is looking at not incremental growth, which is what we normally talk about, but really scaling this multi times. Ultimately, how do you get to a million, even $1 billion kind of business or pound? There you go, American Action Coach coming in. So I've got 5 key points and beginning with goal setting. Now, many of you have heard me talk about goal setting every quarter at Growth Club, but here's a slightly different take on it. So let's start when we're talking about really scaling our business is what is the overall market opportunity that you want to go after? What is the market opportunity out there? And you might not know this at this point in time. You might need to do some research to find this out. But within Southeast England, Buckinghamshire, what's your geography? Internationally, what is the market opportunity for what you do and what you do really well? If we start by identifying that scale and then going, what would it take to get just 1% of that opportunity? 0.1% of that opportunity is still going to be chunky, depending on your market definition. So it's quite an interesting mind game to think, actually, no, you're not going to get 10% of the market, but could you get 1% or even 0.1% when you scale what that opportunity truly is? So start with a bit of a brainstorm on what is the market opportunity that you want to look at, then research what is it actually, what is the scale? And ChatGPT and all the other AI lovely tools will definitely help with that research. Then, as ever, what do you need to learn? Because going after that big number is going to be a different game to what you're doing now. So where do we need to? It starts with getting our mindset there as well. Whilst doing this, remember, we have a great tendency as human beings to overestimate what we can do in the short term, literally this today, next week, and really underestimate what you can do in a 5 year period. And what we're talking about this morning is very much in that 5 year horizon. It's not near term, it's where could you get to if you thought about it in terms of the chunk of market you could go after and secure in a 5 to 10 year horizon. And be bold. This is not the time for wimpy goals. And watch out if you get howled out of your goals. So here's a new phrase, I'm loving it. Have you ever been howled out of a goal? So to be howled out of a goal is when you start thinking about, oh, well, if I went after 1% of my market, how would I do it? How this, how that? And you start to think, well, I don't know, that couldn't work. Da, 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 da. And we give ourselves permission to stop thinking about achieving that goal. When you start thinking about it in terms of who would I need to know to be able to achieve that goal, you might come up with some very different people to who are in your network at the moment. Who could help you reach that much bigger audience, that bigger geography? So instead of thinking how you're going to do it, think about who. And it really does open up the opportunities. And then when you've found this shifting goal that is absolutely stretching you to the hilt, think of what would be impossible. Even write that down now. What would be, just think of market opportunity for your business right now. What would seem impossible? You might be writing down a revenue target. You might be writing down a total number of customers you deal with. Think of a number, write it down. And when you set these really stretching goals, then engage with these goals, write them out, tell somebody, everybody, where it is you're looking to go. Because when you tell people and share it, as you're having different conversations with these different who's, you'll get more input, more ideas, and it will come to life. If you keep it a little secret squirrel, A, you're likely to forget about it and therefore not do any action. But B, no one else can help you with it. So engage with them. And taking that time to think, I love this quote, one of my favorites. Absolutely everything in this world is created twice. Everything. Once somebody had the thought that this would be a good thing to have. They imagined, golly, what if we could do this? That has to happen before anything gets created. And then it happens twice when it's created. But we have to do that first step, otherwise it won't happen. So, building and scaling your businesses clearly starts with the thought about, I want to do this, and setting a goal to do it. It absolutely starts there. Then we need to define the strategy. How are we going to scale it? And we have this incredibly simple formula. You know how I like formulas. This one is the simplest. How you're going to do it is X times Y. Yeah, right, I hear you say. So X is the business model that you're going to run your business on. And times Y is the number of times you need to repeat it to scale to the size of market share, to the size of revenue, to the size of customer base that you want to scale to. So it actually breaks it down. It's very simple. We need one model that you scale. If we're going big scale here, we do that by multiplying our business model multiple times. So the rest of our session, we're going to cover these 5 pillars of strategic thinking. Sorry, we have 5 elements, and then there's 5 elements within the strategic, which is our first one. So I think this is almost the foundation of scaling your business, is getting super clear on what is the business model of scaling that you're going to use. So what am I talking about here? Here I'm talking about, is your business model a subscription model? A subscription model could be, people who subscribe to you. That might be a gym subscription. It might be an accountancy subscription. People are going to subscribe to it and have repeat business on a monthly basis and a repeat service. Maybe it's a royalty business. You have IP that people, intellectual property that people are going to buy off you, in publishing, etc. These things, music, books, etc. That's a royalty model. Maybe it's franchising model. That's what I'm a part of. But can you franchise your business to scale? So it'd be X is the franchise model times Y. How many franchises do you need to run? The licensing model, fantastic example of this would be Disney. Yes, they make films, but they license that to, Disney dolls, wallpaper, board games, video game, music. They license their materials so much to scale. Network marketing is still a thing in a number of industries and sectors, is another model. The affiliate model, actually, you're going to supply your business to a number of affiliate other businesses who then buy it off you. So you're not having to sell it every time, and you scale by the number of Y becomes the number of affiliates that you have. who could you be affiliated with, who's then going to, so let me give you an example. Some I know, I'm stuck in accountancy in my head at the moment, but accountants might have affiliates, not accountants, sorry, mortgage broker, mortgage company might have affiliates with accountancies, and they partner up and provide mortgage services to those businesses for their customers, would be an example. The rental business, what do you loan out to others to use? At the extreme, you've got things like the car rental business or leasing. Banks are rental businesses. They're renting out their money and you're getting it back. So there's so many different models that you can then scale up and just multiply to get that huge scale. So we need to get 1 times of it working superbly well and then scale it. And that's really the next 2 points here, leveraging it, making sure that you work out before you scale how to get the maximum done with the minimum resources, so you're super efficient. And then work out how you're then going to scale it, how you're going to get these multiples of instances of your business model. Are you going to buy up others? Are you going to, as I say, if you franchise it, then you're going to scale it by recruiting franchisees. So you're going to work out how those processes are going to work so that you can focus on the scaling part and you're not involved in it anymore. You are entirely working on it. So all of this requires opportunity. So look at what is the opportunity where people are going to need your product or service. And it has to be something that is marketable, which sounds absolutely blindingly obvious, but I have spoken to a number of business owners, typically very entrepreneurial startups, and they say, we're going to do this. And you look at it and going, there is not demand for that. So this has to be something where there is strong demand and you tell it. So there is a great story around people want to be part of that. So we need to, this is the most important step really, is getting this strategy right. And when you've got it right, then we can go on with all the other elements. So moving onwards. So mission. This is where we get super clear on, very heartfelt, what is our purpose? Our reason for being, the motivation for building this business and bringing your team with you. We have to have, because you all know already, running a business is a tough gig. Scaling a business is equally a tough gig. Even when you've got the first instance going, you've got to scale it. And the thing that keeps us going is that connection to your purpose. And that's what gets everybody else around you, your employees engaged with you, your who people engaged with you. It also then supports your customers staying loyal to you and being your marketing function for you. So understanding really what is your mission, what is your purpose, that is beyond making money. What's the footprint your scaled business is going to leave on this planet? I don't mean eco footprint. I mean, what's the difference you are going to be making with it? So to do this, I've already mentioned it lightly there, we need the right team on board. Many of you know this is my favorite topic. We have to get the right people on board, hire for attitude, train for skill, hire slow, fire fast. You know these things, but getting the right attitude, because you cannot change attitude, but you can train up. So making sure you've got the right people coming on board and that they are aligned to that mission of yours, that real purpose. And you've got these set of values that you are immersing in the business. These values are the ones that drive you, that your suppliers are aligned to, your team are aligned to, your customers. It builds that ecosystem for you. Actually, I was talking just earlier in the week about training. As human beings, we are wired to want to improve ourselves all the time in some direction. People want to improve their financial situation. They want to improve their home situation. They want to, and that comes through training. And ultimately, if they want to improve their financial situation, then we can do that at work if they progress up. And even when it is tight times, and I know it is interesting times at the moment, and who knows what's around the corner, but you can always train your people. It doesn't cost anything to have mentoring between team members. There's so much online that is free to access, YouTubes, webinars, podcasts, books, ebooks, so much information. That budget is no excuse not to be training people. What stops a lot of growth is actually not having the right management in place. And actually, as the business owner, your ability to select and manage the managers becomes a real key element of your role. I'm sure you've all heard the phrase, people join organizations and they leave managers. So many people leave their company because of their manager. Your role is to make sure you've got managers that attract talent and they don't get rid of it, push it away. So that's providing accountability. KPIs are a big part of that, but supporting their growth as well. There's also a huge number of people who are promoted into management roles without having the right support and training themselves. And your role changes, and we'll come on to that at the end actually in terms of the role of the CEO, into very much leadership, providing the right leadership for that team. You're providing the leadership for the managers who are managing the people who are doing the work. So getting your team sorted, that's a whistle-quick tour. You know, it's months of work to do this, but it is fundamental. If you don't get your team sorted, you've got a revolving door going on and your growth will go nowhere. So we've got a clear model, we've got a strategy we want to follow, and we're well on the way to getting our team in place. Now we have to drive execution. And this is actually one of the things that gets in the way of so much progress, is not actually getting the action done, not executing those plans. So we need to convert these huge goals, break them down, 5-year plan, 1-year plan, 90-day plan, which gives you weekly actions. So we've got to have that organized. We need systems, all those systems in place that are, we say documented. Documented may well not involve a single piece of paper. It might do. There's probably a shared drive somewhere that is the brain of your business that has got key processes on it. So you might have checklists on it. You might have videos of how to do things, depending on your business, how to physically do things. It might be videos of a screen where you videoed the mouse moving, so how you do things on systems. But how stuff gets done in the way of your business. You know, the ultimate example is always, you know, McDonald's, or, you know, they have, this is exactly how things are done. Burgers are fried for this time on either side. This, you know, it's absolutely defined to a millimeter, or even less probably. But also included in that is a system for improving, you know, the Kaizen model of continually improving, which means you need to continually look at things. That's part of the culture, as people are looking at, oh, how can we do this differently? Let's reflect on what we've just done. What are the changes we need to do to make it better? How many times do you sit down with your team and actually think about that on a regular basis? Knowing your numbers if you're scaling, if you're not in control of your numbers in a small scale, in a big scale, it will be absolutely chaos. And they can become more and more and more important the bigger you go. Cash flow might not be a huge issue at the moment in your business, but I can trust you where by the time you've got multiple instances, you've done your X times Y, it will become far more important. So getting these things in place, using them religiously, day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, and consistently getting that execution is what is needed to drive that. And then the role of the CEO. This is a fundamental shift from some of you might still be in your business as an operator, actually in one of the roles within the business in the first instance, in your first X, before you've multiplied it by the Y number of times. Some of you might have got yourselves out of being that operator within the business, but you're still operating as a general manager of that first instance of your business. So you now have a completely different job description if you're going to seriously scale your business. You need to be the architect of your business. You are imagining the future, you're doing the research, we've set those goals, but now how do we actually make all these cogs work and bring that to being? So you're leading the people managers, you're the manager of managers. You're the manager across all the functions. You're looking at business-wide systems. You are the one who absolutely sets the tone and holds people to the culture. So your role is completely different, much less about getting to-do lists done, much more about how you're setting direction, setting tone, setting culture. And being present, you're, as I call it, you know, sharing the fairy dust. Sorry, somebody jumping in there? No, somebody forgot to be on mute. So you are doing a lot of delegation rather than abdication. So what's the difference? You are delegating not just tasks, you're delegating whole goals and growth opportunities to your senior leaders. When you're delegating them, you are giving them the goal, you're giving the timeline, and you might be giving them the resource allocation they've got, the budget. Might be financial budget, people budget. And then when you delegate, you're checking in on but the time frames have probably got much longer than the time frames you're looking at now. You're checking in on a monthly basis for that project. That's a 6-month project to get in place this new piece that is needed for the growth. Abdication is where you throw it over the fence and say, can you do this, and leave them to it. And that's where you suddenly realize at the end of the year it didn't happen, but nor did you follow up on it. So be sure to be delegating rather than abdicating. And you've got this kind of yin and yang kind of pull and push here. We've got inspiring with the vision, spreading the fairy dust. But it can't be all at that lovely level. We've actually got to drive with accountability in terms of the numbers, the KPIs, the goals for the individuals and their teams and their teams. So it's a interesting combination of those two things. But what is absolutely sure is that the business will grow at the speed you drive it at. The speed you get the right who's in place and connect with the speed at which you envision it and the speed that you set. So I've actually got through that. I've got so much content. I'm condensing this from like a full day immersion, and I might have oversimplified it there.